Kai sat on a metal crate behind the food market. The air smelled like grease, oil, and old metal. In his hands was a small paper box of fries, cold and soggy, but still food. He was used to being alone. No one cared much for a human delivery. Boy on a station full of aliens, he took a bite, then sighed. Another day. Another cold meal in the shadows. But then, he heard something strange. A soft growl, low and rough, coming from behind the trash piles. He froze, holding his fry halfway to his mouth. Something or someone was back there. Slowly, he leaned forward and peeked. Two glowing eyes stared back at him from under a pile of broken crates. He jumped back, almost dropping his fries. It was a girl, but not human. Her skin had a pale purple shade, and her hair was a tangled mess of white. She looked thin, like she hadn't eaten in days. Her arms wrapped around her knees, and she growled again, warning him. But her eyes weren't angry, they were scared. Kai didn't speak. He just sat back down, heart still beating fast. He glanced at his fries, then slowly reached into the box. He took one out and placed it on the ground, a little closer to the trash pile. Then he slid the box away from himself and leaned back. The girl didn't move for a while. She stared at him, then at the fry, then back again. Kai didn't blink. Finally, with cat-like movement, she crept out from the shadows. Her fingers were long, with claw-like nails, but they trembled as she reached for the fry. She grabbed it and shoved it into her mouth, chewing fast. Then she looked at the box, hungry for more. Kai pushed it a little closer. She hissed, unsure, but didn't back away. She crawled forward, grabbed the box, and pulled it back into the keyhole. Shadows with her. Kai didn't know what to say, so he said nothing. He just watched her eat. Every time a footstep echoed nearby, she froze and let out a soft growl. When a loud voice called from the street, she buried herself under the crates. She was scared of everyone. Except him. The next day, Kai came back with another box of fries. He didn't expect her to still be there, but she was waiting when she saw him. She didn't growl this time. She crawled out slowly, staring at the food in his hands. He smiled and set it down again. She took it, just like before, but her eyes didn't look as wild now. Days passed. It became a secret routine. Every night after work, Kai brought her food, fries, a sandwich, sometimes even hot soup. She never spoke, never smiled, but she watched him closely, always from the shadows. Sometimes she sat a little closer. Kai started talking to her. Even if she didn't reply, he told her about his boring job, his bad boss, and how no one ever thanked him. He didn't know why, but it felt good to talk, and it felt good to have someone listen. One night, he brought her a blanket. She sniffed it, then pulled it around herself like a shield. That was the first night she didn't crawl back into the trash pile. She just sat beside it, wrapped in the blanket. She looked almost like a normal girl, almost. But when a group of drunk aliens passed by and laughed too loud, she snapped her head toward them and let out a sharp growl. They stopped, stared, then walked away quickly. Kai watched, stunned. She was small, thin, weak-looking, but something about her growl made people afraid. The next day, he asked around. No one knew where she came from. No one reported a missing alien girl. Some people said she was dangerous. Others called her a beast, but Kai didn't believe that. He had seen the fear in her eyes. She wasn't a beast. She was broken, alone, and maybe, just maybe, she trusted him. As he sat with her that night, watching her eat the fries carefully, he whispered, "You need a name." She looked up, silent. "I'll call you Lyra," he said softly. She blinked, then looked down at the fries again, but for the first time. She didn't growl when he got close. Instead, she leaned a little toward him. Just a little, in the shadows of a cold metal station. A boy and a wild alien girl shared a quiet moment, and the first fry became something more, the start of a strange friendship. Kai didn't hear her footsteps. The corridors of the station were quiet that night. His shift had ended late, and he was too tired to take the main route. He took the side tunnels instead. the ones where the lights flickered and the pipes dripped water from above. He walked slowly, carrying a half-eaten sandwich in one hand. Then he felt it, the strange feeling that he was being watched. He stopped, looked behind, but saw nothing. Only shadows and metal walls. He turned back and kept walking. The feeling didn't go away. His skin tingled like eyes were crawling over his back. A few steps later, he spun around quickly. That's when he saw her, Lyra, the alien girl, standing still in the corner, wrapped in the same blanket he gave her. Her hair was messy, her feet bare, and her large eyes glowing in the dark. She didn't speak, she just stared at him like a silent shadow. Kai didn't know what to say. "You followed me?" he asked. She didn't blink. He took a step forward, and she backed up fast like a frightened animal. But she didn't run away. She stayed just close enough to keep him in sight. He turned and started walking again. She followed, always keeping some distance. It was like having a ghost behind him. Every time he glanced back, she was there, silent, watching. He wasn't sure if it should scare him or make him feel safe. He passed through the lowest deck of the station, where old wires hung from the ceiling. The smell of rust filled the air. Suddenly, from the side, a figure jumped out, tall, strong, and fast. A man with a metal mask and sharp blade. "Give me your creds," the voice growled. Kai froze. Dropping the sandwich, the mugger stepped closer, raising the blade. Before Kai could move, something shot past him, a blur of pale purple and white hair. Lyra slammed into the mugger with shocking speed. Her claws scratched the man's mask, sending sparks flying. She growled loud, wild, like a beast unleashed. The mugger stumbled back. Stunned by her strength, she didn't stop. She bared her teeth and charged again, knocking the weapon from his hand. The man ran without a word, vanishing into the darkness. Kai stood there, breathing hard, eyes wide. Lyra turned slowly toward him, her chest rising and falling. She looked ready to pounce again. But when she saw his face, something changed. Her growl faded, her hands dropped, and she looked down, like she was ashamed of what she did. He stepped closer and knelt down. "Are you okay?" he whispered. She didn't answer. He reached out his hand, and this time she didn't back away. She let him touch her arm. Her skin was cold, trembling, but she stood still. "Thank you," he said softly. She blinked slowly, then looked up at him. No words, just silence. But something was there, something more than animal instinct. She had protected him. Kai took her hand and gently pulled her toward the lights. She followed, no longer hiding in the shadows. From that night on, she never waited behind the trash pile again. She walked behind him, always quiet, always alert. If anyone looked at him for too long, she growled. If anyone got too close, her eyes lit up with warning. People started to notice. They whispered about the human boy and the strange alien girl who followed him everywhere. Some laughed, some looked afraid, but Kai didn't care. For the first time in his life, someone had stood between him and danger. Someone had chosen to protect him without being asked. He bought 2 sandwiches the next day, one for him, one for her. She ate in silence, sitting on the floor outside his small room. When he finished, she handed him a broken toy she had found, a small robot head with blinking lights. It didn't work, but she had kept it, for him, that night. As the station lights dimmed and people slept, Kai opened the door to his room again. Lyra was still there, curled up in the blanket, watching the hallway. She looked up at him, not like an animal this time, but like a silent guardian. He didn't say anything. He just nodded, and she closed her eyes. The wild alien girl who once growled from the trash now followed him everywhere, and she was starting to look less like a stranger and more like a friend. The food court was crowded that day. Humans and aliens moved between tables, laughing, talking, and sharing meals. Kai found an empty seat near the corner, holding 2 trays of food. One tray had a fresh burger and fries, the other had fruit and warm bread. He looked behind him, and there she was, Lyra, quiet and still, watching every person that passed by. Her blanket was wrapped around her shoulders like a cape. Her eyes didn't blink. They scanned everything. Kai motioned for her to sit. She didn't move at first. She didn't like crowds. But when he sat and placed the food down, she came over and sat on the floor beside him, not on a chair, not at the table just beside him, close. He placed the fruit tray next to her. She stared at it, then slowly began to eat. People around them began to notice. Some pointed, some whispered. Kai heard one alien mutter, "That's the growling girl." He ignored them. He focused on his fries, but then a voice called out, "Hey, Kai." It was Jenna, one of his co-workers. She waved and walked over, smiling. He hadn't seen her in a long time. They used to talk more, but after Lyra appeared, he hadn't had much time for anyone else. Jenna sat beside him, her eyes on Lyra. "She's still with you?" Jenna asked, trying to smile. "Yeah," Kai said, keeping his voice low. "She doesn't talk?" "Not yet." Lyra didn't move. She kept eating slowly, but her eyes flicked toward Jenna. Kai noticed her hands tighten around the fruit. Jenna reached across the table, trying to grab a fry from Kai's tray. It was something she used to do all the time, but this time, before her fingers touched the food, a loud growl filled the air. Everyone nearby stopped. Lyra had stood up. Fast, her eyes glowing, her lips pulled back. She stepped between Kai and Jenna. Teeth showing, claws flexed. Jenna froze, her face pale. "It's okay," Kai said quickly, standing up too. "Lyra, it's okay, she's my friend." But Lyra didn't move. She stood like a stone wall, her body tense. People were staring now, some backing away. A security bot flew closer, its scanner lights blinking. "Is there a problem here?" it asked in a flat voice. "No problem," Kai said quickly. "She just got scared." He reached out and gently touched Lyra's arm. Her head turned slowly toward him. Her growl faded, and she stepped back. Eyes still locked on Jenna. Jenna stood up, forcing a nervous laugh. "Guess she really doesn't like sharing," she said. Kai gave a small smile, but inside, he felt cold. Lyra wasn't acting like a pet. She was acting like a protector, a guard. She didn't want anyone near him, not even old friends. After Jenna left, Lyra sat down again, this time even closer than before. Her shoulder touched his leg. She didn't eat any more fruit. She just stared at his tray, making sure no one came close. Kai didn't know what to say. He liked that she cared, but it also scared him a little. What would happen if someone tried to hurt him on purpose? What would Lyra do then? That night, Kai tried to talk to her. "Lyra, you don't have to growl at everyone," he said softly. She tilted her head, confused. "Not all people are bad." She didn't answer. Instead, she pointed at herself, then at him. Then she touched her chest and made a low growl, like she was saying, "Me." "Protect," Kai nodded slowly. "I know," he whispered. "But you don't have to protect me from friends." She didn't nod, didn't blink. She just leaned her head against his arm and closed her eyes. He sat there for a long time, unsure what to do. The alien girl who once hid in trash now stood between him and the world. But was it loyalty? Or something deeper? The next morning, someone had painted something ugly on the wall near his room. A warning in red letters. "Keep your monster away from us." Kai cleaned it off before Lyra could see it, but he knew things were starting to change. Lyra didn't growl just for food anymore. She growled at the world, and she only felt safe when he was near. Whatever bond had formed between them was stronger than he thought, and if someone broke it, he feared what she might do. Rain didn't fall on space stations, but sometimes it felt like it should. The lights above Kai's hallway flickered again, making everything feel colder. He walked fast, holding a tray with soup and fruit. Lyra hadn't eaten yesterday, and that worried him. She had stopped growling lately, stopped watching every stranger like a threat. Now, she just sat near his door, silent and still. When he reached his room, he saw her curled up in the corner, blanket tight around her. Her skin looked pale, her lips dry. "Lyra," he said, kneeling beside her. Her eyes opened slowly. Too slowly she blinked, but didn't move. He touched her forehead. It felt wrong. Too hot and too cold at once. Something was very wrong. He didn't wait. He picked her up in his arms. Though she was taller than him, her body was light as feathers. People stared as he ran through the station halls, but no one tried to help. They just moved aside, whispering as he passed. The medical wing was quiet. A human nurse stepped forward but paused when she saw Lyra. "We don't treat things like that," she said carefully. Kai's voice cracked. "She's not a thing. She's my friend." A young doctor behind the nurse heard him and stepped forward. "Let me see her," he said, ignoring the nurse. They placed Lyra on a scanner bed. The doctor tapped a few buttons, then frowned. The machine began to hum, then beep, then spark. Her body reacted strangely to the scanner wires melted. Lights blinked red. The screen flashed, "Error. Foreign biology. Unknown threat level." Kai leaned in, worried. "What does that mean?" The doctor didn't answer right away. He opened a drawer and took out a manual scanner, older and slower. He scanned her arm carefully. Then her eyes. Finally he sighed. "She's not just any alien," he said. "She's not even on our registry." Kai's heart thudded harder. "Then what is she?" The doctor looked at him seriously. "She's part of something ancient, maybe even lost. Her cells. They change shape when threatened. She has no true blood type. Her blood eats through metal. She shouldn't exist on this station." Lyra stirred on the bed, groaning softly. The doctor stepped back. "Nervous. She's dangerous," he said. "She might be a weapon." Kai stepped between them. "No," he said firmly. "She saved me, more than once. She doesn't want to hurt anyone." The doctor nodded slowly. "Maybe," he said, "but others won't care." He handed Kai a sealed packet with injections and vitamins. "This might help her," the doctor whispered. "But if Command finds out she's here, they'll take her away." Kai thanked him and left quickly. He didn't want to risk any more eyes on Lyra. Back in his room, Lyra lay on the bed, breathing unevenly. Kai gave her the first injection carefully. She didn't flinch, just looked at him with tired eyes. He stayed beside her the whole night. When she finally slept, her fingers gripped his sleeve like a child's. The next morning, she looked better. Her skin glowed again, her eyes brighter. She sat up slowly, then touched his face with the back of her hand. It was the first time she had ever done that, like she was checking if he was still there. "Fries," she whispered, voice weak but clear. Kai laughed softly. "I'll get you some." But things outside were changing. Rumors were spreading. Some said a creature was hiding in the lower halls. Others said it had attacked people with claws and glowing eyes. Security drones started flying more often, scanning faces, and Kai noticed a strange figure watching him near the food court. Someone in a black coat with a silver badge. He held Lyra's hand as they walked back to his room. She didn't growl anymore, but her eyes still searched every corner, every shadow. Kai could tell she knew something wasn't right. That night, she pulled him close and whispered something strange. "Me not beast," she said. Kai looked into her glowing eyes and nodded. "You never were." She leaned her head against his shoulder and stayed still. The girl from the trash pile had a voice now, and the first thing she used it for was to remind him she wasn't just some monster, but someone worth protecting. 2. The alarms started with a quiet hum. Then they grew louder, sharper, filling every hallway of the lower deck. Kai had never heard that kind of warning before. It wasn't for fire or air loss. It was for something worse, something alive. He dropped the tray of food in his hands. The soup spilled on the floor. The fruit rolled away. Lyra was not in his room. Panic gripped his chest like cold metal. He ran, his boots slamming against the metal floor. People pushed past him, running the other way. Shouts filled the air. "She's loose." Someone saw it lift a wall panel. They said it screamed. Kai didn't stop. He turned into the service hallway near the food court. Smoke curled through the vents. He smelled burning plastic. Something had caught fire. Ahead, the air was hot and glowing. A fire had spread across one of the kitchens. Sparks danced like insects, and in the center of the smoke was Lyra. She stood with her arms wrapped around a small child. A human boy, maybe 5 years old, shaking in fear. The ceiling above them cracked, and metal pipes broke loose, falling. Like deadly claws, Kai screamed her name. Lyra looked up, eyes glowing bright blue. And with one move, she jumped forward, her body slamming into the falling pipe. It struck her back, and she hit the ground, curled around the boy. The station floor shook, and flames roared. But she didn't move. She kept the boy safe security. Bots arrived seconds later. They fired foam to kill the fire. Others pointed scanners at her, red lights flashing. One bot called out, "Unauthorized lifeform detected. Unknown class. Warning level, critical." Kai ran to her side. Kneeling beside her, her back was burned, her breathing heavy, but her arms were still around the child. The boy was crying, but unharmed. She saved him, Kai shouted. She didn't cause the fire, she stopped it. But the bots didn't care. They only saw what the scanners told them. A voice came from behind, calm and cold. "She's a risk." It was a woman in a silver coat, eyes hidden behind black glasses. She lifted a steel pipe with her bare hands. She survived temperatures that would kill a human. That is not normal behavior. Kai stood in front of Lyra, arms wide. "She's not a threat," he said. "She's a friend. She's—" The woman raised a hand and the bots aimed their weapons. "Stand down, boy," she said. "We're taking it in." Lyra stirred, weak but alert, her eyes locked on the weapons. Her body shifted, muscles tightening. Kai could feel the growl building in her chest. "Please," he said softly, turning to her. "Don't fight them." She blinked slowly, her claws still half raised. She looked at him, only him. Then she slowly lowered her hands. The bots moved in, cold and fast. They placed metal cuffs on her wrists. She didn't resist. But her eyes never left Kai's face. As they pulled her away, she spoke one word: "Fries." Her voice was soft, shaking. Kai stepped forward, trying to follow, but the silver-coated woman stopped him with a single look. "She's not yours," she said. "She never was." Kai watched them drag Lyra down the hallway. People whispered, some pointed. No one stepped forward, no one helped. He stood there alone, heartbreaking. She had saved a child, risked her life, and now she was treated like a monster. He looked down at the spilled soup, the broken tray. Then he clenched his fists. If they thought they could take her and erase her, they didn't know what she meant to him. She was more than some creature from a trash pile. She was his friend, and he wasn't going to let them take her away forever. Kai didn't sleep that night. He sat in his dark room, staring at the floor. Her voice still echoed in his ears, just one word, soft and sad: "Fries." That was the last thing she said. He hadn't seen where they took her. No one gave answers. The security bots ignored his questions. The woman in the silver coat disappeared. He tried searching the public files. But there was nothing. No records of her, no arrest logs, no lab transfers. Like she had vanished into smoke, but Kai didn't give up. He went to the only person he knew who hated rules more than anyone. June, a half-cyber hacker who lived above the reactor vents. June had wires coming out of his arms and goggles that glowed red. He didn't like visitors, but he owed Kai a favor. Kai showed him a photo, a blurry one of Lyra taken the night she followed him for the first time. June raised one metal brow. "Is this the girl that growled at a security captain last week?" Kai didn't smile. "They took her, and I don't know where." June sighed and connected his fingers to a wall port. The lights flickered. Then lines of alien code danced across the screens. It took hours, but finally, June leaned back, eyes wide. "They didn't take her to prison," he said slowly. "They took her to Research Deck 7. That level is locked for government use only. Bioweapons, ancient DNA, secret projects." He looked at Kai seriously. "Your alien girl isn't just a mystery. She's a weapon to them now." Kai's stomach turned cold. "They'll hurt her?" "They'll test her," Jun replied. They'll break her down until there's nothing left to protect. He stood up, heart pounding. I need to get in. June laughed bitterly. You in what army? Kai didn't answer. He didn't need an army. He just needed a way inside. That night, he wore dark clothes and a borrowed ID badge. June had copied the access code from an old guard's database. He passed the first gate without trouble, but the second one scanned more than just cards. It scanned DNA. June had warned him, so Kai brought something of Lyra's. A strand of her silver hair, hidden in his bracelet. When he pressed it to the scanner, the door blinked twice, then opened slowly, inside. The lights were blue and cold. Machines hummed around him. Glass walls showed tanks filled with strange creatures. Some floated, some crawled, some looked like they were sleeping forever. He walked carefully, afraid to breathe too loud. Then he saw her. Lyra stood in the center of a round room. Straps tied her hands and feet to the floor. Wires stuck into her back, her neck, even her legs. Her eyes were closed, but her body was shaking. Small gas clouds hissed from vents above her head. Kai rushed forward, but a voice stopped him. You shouldn't be here. It was the silver-coated woman again. She stood near the control panel, watching everything with calm eyes. She's not what you think, she said. She's a living weapon, older than this station. We found records of her species' war machines built to destroy. Shook his head. She saved people. She saved me. The woman didn't blink. And that's the problem. She's learning too fast. Soon, she'll be something we can't control. Kai took a step forward. Let her go. The woman tilted her head. And what if I don't? Then came a sound, a low growl from the center of the room. Lyra's eyes opened, glowing deep blue. The wires began to shake. Sparks flew from the machines. She had heard him. Kai, she whispered. He ran to her, pulled off the wires. She winced, but didn't fall. Her body stood tall, stronger than before. The woman stepped back, reaching for a control stick. But Lyra growled, louder this time. The lights shattered, alarms rang. Kai grabbed her hand. Come on, he shouted. And they ran through dark halls, through red flashing lights. Footsteps followed them, orders shouted behind. But Lyra didn't let go. She ran beside him. Her strength back, her fire returned. They reached the last door and slammed it shut. Kai leaned against the wall, gasping for air. Lyra touched his face gently. She looked at him, her voice soft. No more wires. He nodded. Never again. The station was shaking, not from attack, not from fire, but from fear. Word spread fast: security breach, unknown life form on the run, lab failure, sirens screamed above, and red lights painted the walls like blood. People ran, doors locked. Guards shouted orders, but deep inside the chaos, Kai and Lyra moved like shadows. She didn't stumble this time. Her steps were strong, her senses sharp. The wires were gone, but something had awakened in her. Not just strength, not just speed, something deeper. She didn't just growl anymore. She spoke few words, but clear ones. They reached an old maintenance shaft. Kai pulled open the hatch. You sure this leads out? He asked. Lyra looked at the metal walls, then closed her eyes. Her hand touched the pipe, and it lit up for a second. Way out, she said. They crawled through the narrow space. Heat pulsed from the pipes, and dust filled the air. Kai coughed, but kept going. Lyra stayed behind him, always watching, like she was guarding the only good thing left in the world. Then came the clang. A door slammed shut behind them. Another voice called out from below. The woman in the silver coat stepped out from the darkness. Her glasses were gone, and her face was scratched. You think you're saving her, she said coldly. But she's already chosen what she is. She's a machine of instinct, not reason. She'll never be one of us. Lyra stepped forward, her eyes glowing. No, she said, voice calm. Not machine, not beast. Her hand rose slowly, and the walls behind her bent slightly. Metal responded to her like wind to a wave. She's controlling the station, Kai whispered. The woman backed up. What are you? Lyra looked at Kai, then touched her chest. Me, she said. Lyra. That was the moment everything changed. She didn't fight with claws. She didn't roar. She simply walked past the woman, and the door opened by itself. No one dared follow. No one dared stop her. Outside, the upper deck was quiet. The stars blinked through the glass ceiling. Kai and Lyra stood near the edge, the wind from air vents brushing their faces. Alarms faded into silence behind them. Lyra turned to him. Her voice was soft, uncertain. Now what? Kai smiled, tired but proud. We find a new place, he said. Somewhere no one calls you thing. She nodded, then took something from her pocket. It was a crushed fry, dry and cold. She handed it to him. Kai laughed. You kept it? She tilted her head. First food, she whispered. First kindness. He took it gently, holding it like a treasure. You growled at the whole station over fries, he said. She looked at him with a tiny smile. No growl now, she said. Only if someone touched Kai. He laughed again. Behind them, lights blinked one final warning. But no one came. No one dared challenge the girl who had changed everything together. They walked into the unknown hallway. Not human, not alien, not beast. Just Kai, the delivery boy who gave away his last fries. And Lyra, the girl who found her voice in a world that tried to break her. Where they were going didn't matter. What mattered was that they were going there together, and no one, not soldiers, not scientists, not fear itself, could take that away from them.